You know what? A lot of people have a lot of different ideas about this S word, this sin. Well, I'll tell you what. We don't know whether it's an action, is it a thought? What is this? Are there 7 of them that are deadly? And the rest of them maybe aren't so deadly? What about sin number 8? I don't know. Let me tell you. Here's what I think the Bible teaches us about sin. Now I'd like to talk with you for the next few minutes about the subject of sin. And I hope that when we finish this talk, you'll have a little better view of what sin really is. When we think about sin, I think that too often we get a picture of a line in the sand where God is saying, you can do what you want on that side of the line, but if you cross it, it's sin. And there will be big-time consequences. But the word sin really means to miss the mark. It's an archery term. Let me ask you, what mark is it talking about? I believe it's talking about the purpose for which God created us. Let's take a look at that in Genesis 1. It says, Then God said, Let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. So God made us in his image. Does that mean we look like him? I don't think so. When you look in a mirror, what do you see? That's not really you in there, is it? It's a reflection or an image of you. You know, that's what we were created to be. A reflection of God here on planet Earth, to reflect his nature, his strength, his power, and his love. When he moves, we should move. When he stops, we should stop. I found this great clip of an old Gene Kelly movie called CoverGirl, which I think illustrates this point so well. You see how his reflection is behaving here? This is what God has called us to reflect his every move. But unfortunately, we forget our purpose and we take on an independent spirit. We fold our arms and begin to tell God what to do. We become an independent image. And as ridiculous as it is, we jump out of our role and get this crazy idea that we are ultimately in charge and that we can manipulate God. Folks, this may work in the movies, but that's not reality here in the real world. When we lose sight of who we really are and why we were created, we're empty, lost, desperately trying to find life apart from God. The effects and consequences are huge. We become separated. In fact, you could use the word sin as an acronym, separate in nature. What or who are we separated from? Well, first, we're separated from God. The idea of an image or reflection controlling the original is totally an illusion. God will not be manipulated by his creation. You know, Jesus said that he came that we could have life to the full. But you know, sin, our trying to find that life on our own, leaves us separated from the very one who so wants to give that life to us. Imagine living your life in the strength of God, the faith of God, the love of God. That's what we were made for, not a constant quest of struggling to find our way. Now, the second separation is from ourselves. We put so much effort into trying to find out who we really are. We try to find fulfillment in our work, our pleasure, sex, money, drugs, but we will never experience that fulfillment if we're separated from the life giver himself. And then we're separated from others. We were made to love one another. Isn't that what Jesus called us to do? But if we know that we can't really love others if we're busy trying to find ourselves. Relationships are about transparency. But if we don't even know who we are, why we're here, how can we love? How can we be transparent with someone else? So what can we do about it anyway? Well, first of all, we need to admit it. We all have this problem. Ignoring it won't make it go away. But as we admit the problem of sin in our lives, we're well on the way out of it. Next, we need to be aware of God's moving. Realize that people with whom we have a relationship and the situations in which we find ourselves are not a matter of coincidence. Seek Him and His movement in everything we say and do. So how do we know it's Him? How can we recognize His hand in our lives? Well, we can pray and ask Him to reveal Himself, and you know what? He tends to do that. Jesus said that he who seeks will find, and that he who knocks, it will be open to him. Seek Him, and you'll see Him moving in your life. And we need to be obedient. It's not enough to be aware. We need to be obedient. When He moves, we move. When He stops, we stop. Hey, spend time in prayer. Spend time in His Word. And do what He says. Friends, don't miss the mark. Don't miss out on the life for which you were created.